Roll call.
Mr. Clark?
Present.
Dr. Kincaid?
Here.
Mr. Newsom? Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mrs. Troop?
Present. Okay, the next thing is, do we have anyone for public comment? Betty? Okay, we'll go on to 3. Discussion topics. 3.1 ACT results. Barbara?
Forgot this is not a touch screen. Our ACT results for 2015 and 2016 have remained the same as they have over the past few years. We are above the state and the national average in all areas. You can see the red is our district, the light blue is state, and it should be the dark blue instead of green is national. And you can see as you look across the board at English, we are above in English. We are equal with the national average in math. We're above in reading at the national and state. Same with science and the composite. We are above the national and the state average as well on the composite scores for ACT. And this information basically is for our senior class for last year. When we looked at the percentage of students that were ready for college-level coursework, again, we are above the state and national average. You can see the college English, college algebra, we are significantly above the state average and just a point above college algebra on the national. We are above still on the social sciences, biology, and we are equal to the national average as far as students meeting all 4. So we are doing well with our students that are academically ready for college-level coursework. Last year was the first year we gave the state paid for juniors to take the ACT test. And as you can tell, we are significantly higher than the state in the English, college algebra, science, biology, and in meeting all 4. So our juniors that took this test scored significantly higher. So we were really encouraged by that. We feel like we changed some of the curriculum maps and we did some different curriculum work last year and believe that this is a result of those changes that were made to the curriculum last year. Any questions?
Yeah, go back to your very first slide, please.
Okay.
If we were to lay 2014 and 15 on that, how do we look?
We are still above the state and national average. We have
But how do
been.
we look year to year?
How do we look? We look a little bit better this year than last year. I can send that to you.
Now,
I
14,
have those.
15, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were right at 21 for 14, 15. We went up a little bit this past year. 15, 16 was just a little 0.4% better, I believe, is what the number was. As far as total, as far as composite scores, and I don't remember, Robin, specifically the sub-test.
No, but, I mean, composite.
Composite, we were,
Summarizes all of it.
yes, we're better. We're better this year than we were last year.
I think our best year, let's see, 14, 15, 15, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14. I think 12, 13 may have been the best group that we've had in a long time. If I'm not mistaken, their composite may have been a 22.2.
I believe that's right.
I mean, it just goes up. I mean, it varies every year. What was different this year is that the state average dropped, and we went against the trend at the state level. State average dropped a little bit, and we went up a little bit. For the 14-15 school year, we were still above the state and national average. The state average went up and ours dropped a little bit. I mean, every group of kids they're all different.
Barbara, are we seeing more kids take it? And the reason I say that, way back when, just the college, ones wanting to go to college took ACT, and a lot of the non-college prepared ones never took it. Now we're seeing it being pushed where more students are taking it. So really, to me, if you have more students taking it, maybe more at the lower end, a 0.4 is a pretty significant increase then, because you've got a lot of them that were on the lower level. So are there more kids taking it?
We do have more kids taking the ACT now. And some of that, I believe, is because we do give that during the school day in the spring. And so I think that has encouraged more students to take that during that window, since it is offered at the site level, and they don't have to go to someplace on Saturday.
Barbara, go to the third slide. And back to your point, Robin, we were, is this the one for our this
Our
year's senior
juniors.
class?
This is our juniors.
Okay.
You want-
We were really pleased to see this because last year, remember, the state paid for the ACT test. So we had a record number of students who decided to participate because it was free for them. And I know that I expected to see our scores drop. And obviously, these are telling us the percentage of kids who met the standard. We don't know what the breakdown is, if the average is 21.5 or 4. But the main thing is when you have a situation where the test has been given free all across the state of Oklahoma, that our juniors fared very well when compared to the rest of the state.
And we were almost half of our junior enrollment. That includes all of our students at the junior level, including all of our alternative sites, as well as our total enrollment for the junior class. So we felt like that was a good participation rate.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, okay.
Okay, next thing, 3.2, ST Math Program. Terry Bogle.
I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about the ST Math program that's being implemented this year into many of our sites. The funding for this program, it is being fully funded by Phillips 66. All 7 of our elementary sites, K through 5, are participating. Our West Middle School 6th graders and our Washington Pre-K Center. The funding includes all the program, all the licenses, professional development for the program, and technology. An example of some technology that we purchased with the funding was iPads for the Pre-K Center. Really, ST Math can be sort of described as a math program without words. It's all visual. When you get in it, you're not going to see any words. You're not going to hear any voices talking to the students. It's all puzzles. It was created by the Mind Research Institute. It is a game-based instructional software, and it's designed to boost math comprehension and proficiency through visual learning, all visual learning. ST Math incorporates the latest research in learning, and it promotes mastery-based learning and mathematical understanding. Students have to master each level as they go through. The ST Math software games uses interactive, graphically rich animation that visually represents mathematical concepts to improve understanding and problem-solving skills. Like I said before, it's all done without words. This format is highly beneficial to our students that are not functioning at grade level in reading. So those students that are on IEPs for reading, they can really shine in this program because they're not having any trouble trying to get through text to understand the math. It can also be a big benefit for our English language learners. It just allows them to develop mathematical reasoning and number sense without the barriers of struggling through difficult text. It is called ST Math, and sort of my role today was to educate you guys on what it was, so when the community's asking you about it, you can talk to them about what ST Math is, because we do want to get the word out there about this program and the benefits that it has for our kids, but also the fact that that Phillips 66 has been so generous to our district. It was born out of neuroscience, and the research is out of the University of California in Irvine. It's, again, Mind Research Institute. It has a unique approach for the brain's spatial-temporal reasoning ability. That's what they're trying to develop. And so some people will probably ask you, well, what's spatial-temporal reasoning? This reasoning is the cognitive ability to picture a spatial pattern and understand how items or pieces can fit into that space. It develops problem-solving skills, organizational skills, and a talent for putting puzzles together. So a student that already has great spatial-temporal reasoning is a student that can look at puzzles and put them together easily. A student possibly that works with blocks. If you've ever seen a student put together a puzzle where the child can just pick up a piece and look and know where that goes, that's spatial temporal reasoning. As an example of someone that doesn't have it really great, I don't put puzzles together like that. If I'm looking for the round hole to fit in, then I just try every puzzle piece I have until I get it. And it takes me a while to put a really big puzzle together, but there are some of our kids that they can just look and they can pick up a piece and they know right where it goes. That's spatial temporal reasoning. A lot of these games I've played, and it will show you a pattern or it'll show you a puzzle, and sometimes I don't have a clue what it's showing me. Some of that's because I wasn't taught that way, but some of it is because possibly my spatial temporal reasoning is just not that great. Mind's approach consists of language-independent animated representations of math concepts. They're all math concepts. They're delivered via the spatial temporal software games. One example of some of the puzzles that you'll see would be a number line or fractions represented in a different way. There's one game in particular where it shows the fractions, but it rolls them out. And the first time I did it, I didn't know what they were doing. And it won't tell you, this is what you did wrong. You need to do this. It'll show you something, and so you have to watch that carefully. And then when you go in again to try it again, you have to reason it and figure it out what you're supposed to do next. You'll probably hear students and teachers talking a lot about JIJI. JIJI is the little penguin. He is the icon for ST Math. He is in every one of the games. Children help JIJI get past obstacles. He has an obstacle every time that there's a new game on the program. He has an obstacle, and he won't walk across it if you haven't done it right. If you do it correctly, he walks across the screen. That's all he does. That's how you know. Students associate JIJI with challenge, learning, and the thrill of success. Every time a child demonstrates understanding, JIJI crosses the screen. And then it will lead a student to a more difficult, challenging puzzle. It goes from visual to symbolic. ST Math uses interactive visual animation to convey math concepts and to develop deep understanding. Initially, students will encounter visual puzzles free of language or symbols, and once the visual representation is mastered, language and symbols are gradually integrated into the puzzles. And I was just talking with Dana Kesselman, and she is going to come up and show you some of the program today because she is actually a practitioner a teacher, a second grade teacher at Lincoln, and she was saying that the tests that they have to take are language-based. So you do everything spatial-temporal, and then you take the test for mastery with language. It promotes one-to-one learning, so it's very differentiated. Each student is going to work at their own pace to advance to the next level. The latest research in learning and motivation informs game design to build intrinsic motivation. When they first brought this to us, I'm not a big gamer. I didn't get into, if you guys can kind of think back, Pac-Man was the first game that was kind of big when I was a kid. And we would have to put a quarter in to play Pac-Man, and I wasn't wasting my quarters on it. I wasn't into it. I wasn't into it then, I'm not into it now. But kids, my own children were, and they would actually save money to go purchase a book that would tell them how to get to the next level on a game. So if any of you have grandkids or you have kids of your own that you know that they have to get to levels to master any of these games that they go out and purchase. This is similar to that. And kids see it more as a challenge instead of frustration. What do I have to do to get to the next level? So, their research shows that students rarely get frustrated, rather they just gain determination to move JIJI forward. It's intuitive and interactive. It's, again, language-free. It enables a rapid startup and immediate engagement for students regardless of their math or their language proficiency. They can get started on it right away. ST Math strengthens students' neural connections as they learn new concepts, immersing them in richly interactive hands-on learning experiences. It also supports STEM. How many of you have heard of STEM? It's out there. It's huge in our nation, in fact, and STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. There are different STEM practices that people that are into STEM or believe in STEM need to be promoted in classrooms every day. One example of STEM practices that we have here in our district is through the use of our science kits that we use for our science curriculum. There are STEM practices in every one of those. There's engineering practices, there's mathematical practices, often technology, and technology, again, is not just computers. It could be different technology like a spring scale or something like that. And again, of course, because it's a science kit, science. But this also promotes STEM. Research indicates that if students develop STEM practices, that they will be more likely to go into a field that supports STEM, which many times guarantees them a higher income. It gives them instructive feedback. And when I say it gives them instructive feedback, it does not say this is what you did wrong, this is what you need to try. It does not give them directions. It will show them a visual puzzle, and they'll have to try it again. So for every puzzle solution posed by the students, ST animates the visual representations of math to provide immediate instructive feedback. Whether or not the solution chosen by the student works or does not work, animation will show them why it was correct or incorrect and provide informative feedback to students.
So what happens if the student never can figure it out? Is he just stopped there?
I'll address that when
Yeah.
I can show.
I don't really know what happens if they're stuck too long. They can get in and look at reports. Teachers can see if a student has been kind of stalled out in an area for too long, and then at that point they can pull them back, give them some extra help, and then hopefully move them forward. But Dana's been using it, so I'll let her talk about that. So what do our teachers say about it? We have many have it up right now, and they're using it. Again, Dana is a second grade teacher over at Lincoln, and she's going to talk to you about ST Math and how she uses it in her classroom.
Assuming it'll let me on.
What's the word when you put something on? What's the word when I ask them to put it back on?
Okay, this is what I see when I go to log in. The kids' screen is similar, but down in the left-hand corner, there is a green man, basically, that if I get a new student, that's what that student's gonna click on in order to be enrolled in my class. And each student that I have has to actually be linked to me. So the kids' passwords are a series of, I believe I was watching one of my students do it this morning. I believe it is 14 or 15 pictures. And I was very hesitant during the training because I am one of those that with my technology, I like to give each kid a list of here's your login, here's your password, and it's in a folder so that they can get on quickly. You can't do that with ST Math. I have no way of recording what their passwords are, but they take them through a training program. That's really their first introduction to ST Math, is a training program with their pictures and their personal password. So it takes them through all their pictures, and I have one kiddo out of 19 that has to retrain every day. But only one, and the retraining is very quick, so it doesn't take a lot of time for her to go through that. So when my kids are on ST Math, I go in here just to my class, and it kind of shows you across the top my roster for one, but then I can go to reports. And the one I look at quite a bit is our syllabus progress. The program sent us a chart to use with our kids that we listed their names on, that's displayed in the room. And once they hit every 10% increment that they complete of the program, they get a sticker to put on the chart until they get to 100%. So today I had 5 kiddos get there. Here it tells you what objective they're on. This tells you how many objectives are within that. So there's 23 things they'll have to go through. She's working on one. The yellow is she struggled a little bit on 2 of them, and one of them she had no trouble with at all. She went straight through it. These dots some of them don't have any. As you can see, they graduate in size. Alexa, number 2, had a little bit of trouble, but she was able to get through it. The bigger the dot, the bigger the problem. So alerts, this is what I look at to see what kids do I need to go help. And then it tells you, these 2 just played it multiple times. These kids got out of the game for some reason. This was, as they graduated through the different levels of the game, their quiz score dropped. And as Ms. Vogel said, the only part of the whole program that has words is the quiz. And it doesn't read it to them. It's a ABCD multiple choice, asks the question, they're supposed to give the answer. But this kind of tells me, okay, well, are they struggling because they're playing it too many times? Are they struggling because they don't understand? Are they just wasting time? There's one that says too much time as well. The low post score, but I don't have any taking too long right now, so that's not going to show us that. Let's go back out here. Maybe. I'm going to go into test drive. So this is similar to what they see. I'm going to go in as a student would play. So this is that was their password, all those little squares. It doesn't give me the fun one. The biggest success I've seen is in second grade. This is my 4th year in second grade. 3rd year, I don't even remember. Third year in second grade, I guess. And number sense is the one we're always struggling with. How do we grow a second grader's number sense with the number line?
Ms. Castleman, what does a number sense mean? You might tell us what that is.
Within, for example, and it'll give you a number line, and it wants you to be able to, what would 10 more be? What would 10 less be? It'll want you to be able to place a point on a number line without necessarily having all of the points marked. Just to be able to move around within numbers. I honestly have never gone in this way. So this is what they see as the quiz. So as you see, there's words here, whereas all their games don't have the words. And then they'll play, find the value for the circle. And then it asks them, are you really sure, or are you just guessing. So I can also see that part. And then I actually wanted to show you a game, not a quiz. So I'm going to go in with open access. This will give me all of the games. So there's all the games for a number line. What I have loved is watching the number line grow. At first, when they first introduce them to the number line, it has every point marked all the way across. These are the graduates through the journey, but so it wants me to place 33. And then they have to find it. The only sounds it makes are, it does do a ding and a dong. If they get it right, it dings. If they don't, it dongs on them. And he walks across. So I'll place one wrong just so. So the 4 blocks them, and JIJI has to go back. So when they're wrong, it serves as a roadblock. And then it kind of showed them this is where 54 would be, so why is that? And they're supposed to say, oh, that wasn't enough, I need to go up. But then
Know that.
that's the number sense part. They have to look at it and they have to figure it out. So at the bottom you see down here, that says I'm on my first try and I'm operating at about 14%. When there's 2 JIJIs down at the bottom, I know a kid is starting to struggle. And it's a little different because this is teacher mode, but I would go down here, I triple click, I put my login, and puzzle pieces come up along the side, and it allows me to sit there with the student and try to help them problem solve. So why do you think JIJI didn't go across? What do you think you could do differently that would help them?
You get that notification after how many failures?
Every time I mess up, I'll just click 70.
When do you as a teacher get the notification?
Right.
It doesn't actually send me one. I have to, so on my Promethean board, I keep up, see, it's not gonna let me go any further. I'm having trouble, so it's gonna want me to start over and do it again. So that will come up, I don't remember, did I go in 6? I don't remember what level I was in. See, now it says I'm on try 2. So when I'm doing this, I'm not sitting down at my computer. I'm constantly around my room. I'm looking at their screens. I'm trying to see what they're playing. When I have 2 there, I'm seeing they're at their second try. So I try to stay at those screens a little bit longer to see, is there something quick that maybe I can tell them that would help them move forward? And as the number line graduates, parts of the number line begin to disappear. So now it just gives them 0, the mark for 50, and 100. So this is where they have to use their spatial, and they have to think, okay, how long would a 10 be? And if I say that's where I think it's gonna be, so I didn't give it enough. So it'll leave that point there for me so I can see where 91 would be. And then I can replace. Your glue just has to drop within that spot. It doesn't have to be on the exact. And then he runs across the screen. So, but they start this glue game with every point marked, or at least every 10 marked across the entire number line. My kids love our ST math time. I don't have anyone complaining. I don't, my IEP kids are able to be successful. A lot of times when you go into things like this where they're having to read all the time, they'll shut down on you, not want to do it. I don't have any of that. Now they'll be my ones that'll ask more questions, like, why isn't this telling me what to do? And that's when I just encourage them, well, what would you do? But like she said, it's games, and every kid gets on a phone, an iPad, a computer, something, and so they're playing on it, and they're figuring those games out online all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I have not had to really, there's some of the games they have to tell me, this is what it wants me to do, because I'm looking at so many different screens at once. And then they slowly, I could assign for homework if I wanted to. We do ours in the classroom. The goal is an hour a week. So they recommend at least, I think it's 20 minutes at a time, right? I do 2 30-minute sessions at least in my room with it.
A day?
Not every day, a week.
A week.
At least 2 30-minute sessions a week.
Okay, what are the kids on? Are they on iPads or
I have Chromebooks.
Chromebooks? Okay. So they're all hooked into the same one, and do you have a big one on your Promethean board or something?
This is what I have on my board. Well, mine's not on test drive, but when they're in ST Math, mine's either on this screen
Okay,
or, and this just says 6% of my class is 6% the way through the syllabus. And then this tells me there's 12 notifications. Those notifications I showed you at the beginning. But this is typically right in here is where I'm up. They're in the reports. And I'm watching them come through if I stop long enough. I mean, like I said, I'm in between all the different kids. But you'll have a kid on a number line, you'll have a kid playing an addition game, and you'll have a kid working with money. So they're all, I mean, it's all over the place depending on how quickly they're graduating through the program.
so at that time, they're all working on
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
Pretty neat. Wish I had it. 14 years ago.
I do have a couple more questions,
Sure.
you kind of paused, so I assume you're ready for questions.
Absolutely.
It's a long ways from basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I assume you still teach that?
Absolutely.
And this is additive to that?
Absolutely.
Doesn't take time away from it?
No.
Okay, that was the first question.
My general math lesson with Envisions, I'm up talking or letting there's videos that go with our Envisions curriculum. That's maybe 15 minutes, depending on what the topic is. And then we're working through the problems together for 10 or 15 minutes, and then the independent practice, and I'm pulling small groups of kids that I can see are struggling. So this is completely separate from
Basic math.
basic
And
math.
Robin, they have a module for addition and subtraction.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's a small
kiddo.
part of math, when
Right,
there's 8 or 10
right.
modules.
But again, we're talking about
Yeah.
second graders?
Yes, sir.
Is that right? So I'm sure if on the 3rd or 4th grade, you're going to have
Well, and
multiplication.
on that test drive, we can see
That's true.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. It should grow. The other question, are there other schools in the state using this?
We're the only one.
Okay.
They, let's see.
But that's
who
because,
knows it?
and we wouldn't be
Yeah.
doing it if we hadn't have gotten a grant.
Yeah, you might tell them. Do you know how much Conoco gave us for this? They gave us
Phillips 66 gave us.
I'm sorry, Phillips 66.
This is just a look at the 5th grade curriculum, so it's going through. What I love about it is sometimes on our curriculum maps, there's things that we get to, I mean, we teach them, but there's a lot of supplemental things that go under each standard, and this will catch some of those supplemental objectives and let it kind of, just reiterate what we've taught, let them play with it, and they view it as I'm playing a game. A lot of them don't even realize they're learning something while they're doing it.
What are they
Isn't
doing
this-
on the pre-kindergarten, 4th grade center? What type of, is it similar to this, but are they using more, what are they?
The pre-K center, it is more involved. They just had on-site training on the 2nd, and an actual representative from ST Math came. They have an actual curriculum that goes along with it. And so they have lessons that they teach, and then they have take-home activities that can be done for parents. But then they also have activities that support that lesson that they can put in their centers, and then they have their ST Math time on the computer. So it really is involved. There's a lot more to it, and the pre-K teachers were very excited about it because it really is a curriculum that they can use to support all of their standards. And we're meeting on the 23rd for our first district PLCs, and at that time, instructional coaches are going to help teachers to look at our curriculum maps and build a progression on ST Math using the curriculum map. So, like Dana said, she teaches her regular lesson out of Envisions, and then this just supports those skills that she's teaching. It's just more practice for students.
And I can reorder any of these.
Terry, Okay, so we got this year. Now, next year, will we still have it?
I don't
or-
know about that. You'd have to.
Are
talk
we
to
gonna
them.
have to pay for it?
We, it's a 3-year license for us.
Oh, okay.
And so on year 4, it will cost each site about $3,000. Initially, it was $50,000 per site.
Okay.
So the total grant was $635,000. That includes the programs plus the technology for the pre-K center and the 3D printers that they purchased for us. So we will have this for 3 years, and then it will be about $3,000 per year,
Per site?
per site.
Okay.
And I appreciate Dana coming today and
Yeah.
talking
Would
about
you
it.
consider this a pretty close cousin to Common Core? Math?
No.
No.
You wouldn't?
I mean, no,
Okay.
no.
I think it is.
That was a very
Huh?
loaded political question.
They know more about it than I do.
I know.
It's actually just giving those students the opportunity to practice what they're learning in the classroom. And the collaborative portion of this, I mean, you could use this as a class project and let 2 or 3 kids work together to figure out, how do we do this? How do we make JIJI be successful? So it really is 21st century future-ready skills that we are teaching our kids, as opposed to anything to do with Common Core. It's really just providing them application time.
Okay. Any more questions?
Thank you.